first, so.
But you go to the trouble, you know, it's huge. So,
Yeah, I didn't register for today for some reason.
okay,
I'm gonna get
we
something to
are
eat
all
while we're
turned
listening.
on. I can see the back of my gray hair.
Oh, are you watching it now?
Yeah, it's on Austin Nonprofit Tech Club. It says.
Oh, nice.
So it's like just a minute or two, a minute kind of slow or 30 seconds, so you don't show up yet, but I know you're going to be there shortly on the picture, so.
So maybe I'll get started in about 4 minutes or so,
Sounds
6:35.
good. And then people can just come as they can.
Okay.
God, I can't get over how good that smells. I'm on a diet, you can tell. Brownies, get ahead of me. Oh, shoot.
What kind of diet?
I have been doing Nutrisystem, and really I've lost 37 pounds.
Wow.
I'm
Wow,
going to
that's-
40.
That's
I'd really like to get 50, but I just, the past month, I just stopped, and I can't get past 30. I can't. So I started every day, at least a mile, and still, I'm stuck at 37. Could have just 3 more pounds. So,
But you look
More
very
water.
fit though.
well, you know, I actually, all these years, 20 years, I've always exercised regularly. I mean, I like to get out and do that.
Yeah.
So I always thought, oh, you're healthy. Well, then when the pounds started coming off, it was like, well, could be better. So I would like some more off.
Yeah, you want some.
Actually, because I just feel so good now.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I felt fine before, but
Yeah.
energy just goes up, you know, and
Mhm.
it's really great. But I've had to totally, you know, where you were 20 years ago and where you are now as you get older, it's different. Your body doesn't need all that stuff. It doesn't need, like I used to love to go to Easy Tiger and get a big baguette, you know, and take it home and have cheese and
Yum.
love all that great stuff, Texas French bread, and it's like,
So bread's not allowed, I guess, when you're older.
well, you know, certain kinds are that are, you know, lower calorie. Pretty much I don't use butter anymore, coconut oil I use a lot.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that seems to go well. So, but, yeah, none of the floury, yeasty breads that I used to love.
All the
so
delicious-
much.
All the
Yeah.
delicious stuff, basically.
Which I love that. But anyway, so I've had to retrain myself, but it's been totally
Worth it.
I have to say. I started actually off with Nutrisystem, and then I like cooking and fresh foods that I cook. So I just relearned and sought out all the recipes. I've been saving them actually, and people get on my Pinterest board where I'm saving them all, and they're like, that whole board is just mobbed. People are like, oh, is that a good one? I'm gonna try that. People are in the same boat a lot of
Yeah.
us, so.
Hmm.
I'm gonna close the door just to make sure it's not noisy.
Canva.com?
Mhm.
Yep, I logged into my account, which has no designs.
No designs yet?
No designs, but I admit to kind of hacking around back there to look at it, so.
Yeah. There's a lot of information on it that's, hopefully nothing gets lost here, but there's so many, if you have the simple membership, you can do a lot with it, but if you do the upgrade to the 12, I think
Yes.
it's $12.95, it's so worth it. Because
I
you can
bet.
do shared folders, collaborators, you can do magic resize, which is a feature I'm gonna talk about. I definitely think it's worth it. So,
That's, I've heard nothing but great things about Canva
yeah.
from everyone, so.
Exciting.
Really.
Yeah, it's always exciting to see people like using it in coffee shops and stuff. Like I remember back in the day, every time I would see it, because I worked remotely and my team was like in Sydney or Manila. And every time I would see it here in the States, I would just like send them a photo and be like, yes, you know, 'cause it's just so exciting. Like a random person in the coffee shop using it.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, Okay, I'm gonna introduce Gina. Actually, I'm gonna let her tell her story, amazing story of herself. But I wanted to thank Capital Factory. This is our last program at Capital Factory for this year. Hopefully we'll be back next year. And please, on your way out, thank Kenitra, our tech expert, who has been a godsend. Every time we show up and brain freeze happens, she gets us out of it. So we love having her. Trianon Coffee, thank you for the coffee. Next month we're going to actually be meeting over at Oracle NetSuite at its new headquarters, and over near Riverside Drive. And so we won't be back here, but there's plenty going on at Capital Factory, so sign up for their updates. We are co-sponsored by N10, Nonprofit Technology Network, and NetSquared, which is a division of TechSoup. And we appreciate Capital Factory live broadcasting and recording today, and we'll post that link on our N10 page and on our Facebook group page, and anybody can watch it 24/7 whenever they want. So without further ado, I give you Gina Miller.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Carolyn, first of all, for inviting me. This is very exciting. I'm really passionate about graphic design and empowering anyone, or that's actually Canva's motto, which made me want to work for them, which is empower the world to design. So they wanted to democratize the whole process of Photoshop and all that, just so you could focus on your business. So get designs out, create content that you love, but just keep focusing on growing your business as opposed to becoming an expert graphic designer. So I'm really passionate about helping people kind of feel less intimidated about design and creating content in general. So let's get started. How can I go? Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm Gina Miller. I have a social media and branding agency. So like I mentioned, I help businesses in all different industries kind of create a consistent image online, make sure that they're communicating their brand values throughout every post, making sure they're thinking about their content correctly. So we kind of design a strategy for them, little highlight pieces they can put out throughout the month, and then create those graphics for them, which I really love doing that. And before that, I was the social media lead for Canva and the tool that I'm about to show you guys. And it was a really interesting job because I got to help them create their global social media presence. So the biggest challenge with that was translating a brand, which is pretty big now, into different markets, but still kind of keeping that essence throughout. So in Brazil to China to Spain, and just kind of making sure that we still communicated our passion for empowering the world to design. So I love that job as well, and I still think Canva is the best thing, the best tool to use if you're a small business or even a huge enterprise. Like Lonely Planet uses Canva, Discovery Channel, a lot of different ones, so you're in good company. All right, so with this workshop, a few of the things we're going to talk about today is the Canva features that I think are really useful for you guys to just kind of start designing, not feel overwhelmed by all the features that they have, but just still focus on these 4. We're going to talk about brand guides and how to kind of conceptualize your content before you start designing, and just remembering like what your North Star is with everything that you're trying to put out online. Then we're going to do talk a little bit about content. So brand design and then content design go hand in hand. Like I was telling Carolyn, I'm a marketer before a designer, so I always think about that first. But design and marketing do go hand in hand, so I'll touch on that, and then we'll do a design exercise. I was thinking it'd be fun to just kind of create a mock brand together and 2 pieces of content for it, so that way you guys can see how quick and easy it is. And then we can do any Q&As, and since it's a small room, I can help you guys through any design challenges you've been having so far. So I guess before I get started, I would love to hear from you guys what are your biggest challenges right now? Like, I wasn't sure what you guys do. You said a magazine?
Yeah,
You guys
we're an
are-
online nonprofit arts magazine,
Uh-huh.
and my name's Jean Claire, and I'm the editor and founder, and this is Marla, and she's one of our founding board members. And I think what we're interested in learning the most is how to use, we've had Adobe and a lot of the Adobe suite of products, and
Mhm.
Marla has a background in designing different digital assets and things like that for work she did at UT. What we're running up against is that Adobe is kind of more than we need, perhaps.
Yeah.
When we're looking at just creating, digital assets for our website
Mhm.
or a web-only magazine.
Okay.
We just need everything from like Facebook ads to, well, the other day we were trying to make us subscribe to our newsletter image to use
Oh, okay.
and things like that. And so it's really pretty, sometimes we put together photos in an array, just almost use it as a photo editor to do things. What else do we do? Invitations,
Invitations.
some print collateral, announcements, but a lot of like email.
And do you guys create the designs yourselves, or you commission them with a graphic designer?
Well, when we established the magazine, we had a professional designer and branding company come up with all of our collateral. So we have a whole suite of colors and
Yeah.
a font and everything. We
That's
have
good.
the whole package.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of different files and options and versions and things like that to use.
You just need to keep the production line going that replicates that aesthetic and like easily.
Yeah, and also,
easy.
Yeah,
I mean,
easily.
I really heard you at, you don't have the time to master this.
Yeah.
Because to me, just going from using Adobe Photoshop on my big old desktop computer at UT to using the cloud-based version, it all looks different, the buttons are all different. I'm like,
Yeah.
I knew this, I was self-taught always.
Yeah,
But I could get what I needed to do done.
exactly.
And Jean Claire's always like, oh, you used to know how to do that. And I'm like,
it's incredibly frightening looking. And but the thing is what we like, we don't need to design a logo, we don't need to
Yeah.
design a brand or whatever. We just need to be able to create assets out of it that are fairly simple.
Yeah.
You
there's
know, I
so
mean,
many-
we're like.
and do it fast.
I do them fast, like, we have a thank you postcard we send to donors, we really like to tweak. Do we
Okay.
need to do that in InDesign? I don't know, because we've got, like I said, we've got all the assets.
We have
It's
the
just-
whole Adobe
Sweet
suite, we
thing.
can both use
Yeah.
it, but to me, it's almost like using a different program.
It's bloated. Yeah.
It is bloated.
Yeah, so the great thing about Canva and even upgrading to the $12.99, $12.95 a month membership is that they have brand kits, like a brand kit feature and folders. So basically you can create a set of templates, and whether it's you or somebody else, like an intern that you hire, can just come in and re-edit those, re-update them, but they're fixed on the cloud. So I think Adobe has that. I'm not too familiar with Adobe Spark myself. But that's one of the features about a nice feature of Canva, and their templates to me are just a little bit higher design. They're more varied, they're not as chunky colors and fonts and stuff like that. So we can get into it and see, we can design some stuff right now so you can see how quickly you can move. But so one of my favorite quotes here is, design is a silent ambassador of your brand. I didn't know what the skill level or business everyone would be in that attended, but it goes without saying that consistency is key with anything that you post, and keeping your brand values and mission in mind is like the #1 priority. And a lot of people forget that if they're just like, oh, I'm just, they focus on quantity over quality because you kind of have to in this day and age. But I would suggest just stick to quality, create good assets, create good content, and then people will come and appreciate your brand that much more. So I wanted to give an example of bad graphic design.
Yay.
Very obvious, but there is such a thing as objectively bad graphic design. I know it's a very abstract concept to be like taste and design and how do you merge the two, but, you know,
CPA secret deal.
Yeah.
what are your thoughts, like, can you tell me what makes this bad, like any one of them? Like this one, for example, what's the first thing on your mind that you're like, oh, it's bad because?
Swirlies all over the place.
Swirlies.
Swirling, too much.
Dazzle.
The
Dazzle.
font disturbs me.
Yes, exactly. What about this one?
That's
Too much. Too much of
What
it.
is all that stuff?
I don't even know what it is. I just
It's
thought that
a
was like.
beehive of lawn services.
Ah.
Yes.
Is
A
that
comb, a rich
I
comb
don't know what
of
it
services.
is. Little hexagonal.
This one, I mean, they were getting close, but what, you know,
Experts.
yeah, there's just no.
Those who are no longer pert.
Yes.
Perts.
Yeah, and then this one, I mean, they just decided to put their whole website on the ad itself.
Yeah.
So, as you can see, we know the difference between bad design and good design when we see it, but when it comes down to actually getting it on there are certain mistakes that we can make. Luckily, Canva has really good templates to begin with. So I always recommend when people are starting out, if they don't have that much design experience, don't mess with the template that much. You know, find the one that's closest to what you would really want, and start there. And then just tweak it to your fonts, to your brand colors, and a stock photo that better represents your brand or one of your own photos, and then you have a good graphic. Otherwise, like even me that I have many years of experience like doing designs on the fly, I still just would rather start with a template than just a blank page because it's just easier to get started. But you know, a few huge no-nos are don't use more than 3 fonts in your designs. Always stick to 2, max 3. Think about the theme that you're representing. So like, yeah, this is like a 70s dance and then clip art. It just doesn't make any sense. Here is an example of someone getting excited with all these little features, and they're like, oh, let's just keep using them, and then let's do clip art, and then let's put font. So, you know, just because there is a feature doesn't mean you have to use it. Simplicity goes a long way. This one's a little too simple. There's no hierarchy. There's no bolded text or light text, so you can't really see which information they deem more important. And it would have just been a lot better with this centered and a little bit of nice information under it. That's it. This one, my goodness. I mean,
Check.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Green, yellow.
Yeah, I don't even know actually what it's for, but this is an example of just busyness, no cohesion, doesn't make any sense. And you know, a lot of people do kind of relate more to these ads because they give you a local kind of feel. So if you have those kinds of businesses, you do want to play the 2. You don't want to get too high design and abstract, but you also want to just establish yourself as a tastemaker in the community, you know.
Gina, what was that tip you gave us about 2 lines or 3 lines or?
Oh, so no more than 2 fonts.
Oh, fonts,
Yeah,
okay.
no more than 2 to 3 fonts max. So three's a lot. Same with brand colors. You want to stick to just your 2 main colors or 3. And then try and use the opposites on the color wheel. So complementary colors, contrasting colors. You know, I don't know when orange and red works or red and black. Like I haven't seen that work well for me, but
Too many photos in there.
yeah, too many photos, stuff like that. So it's always better to just keep it simple. Now, here's a little bit of good design,
Yay.
which is so nice. Right away, you know, what is this? What do you guys think when you see this?
Professional.
Yes.
Professional. And keep in mind, these were not edited. These were straight from Canva's library. I just took a screenshot and put them onto this thing. So these are the kinds of the selection that you have to work with, which to me, that's super important because in I guess product design, there's a concept called jobs to be done. So when you're designing a product like Canva, you have to think, okay, what's gonna get the user done faster? So what's their intrinsic motivation? And it's create elegant, good content fast. So they do a really good job at addressing that need for us. But yeah, as you can see, this is great graphic design. It's consistent within itself, so you know, they have a bold font with spacing, but then a thinner font. It's contemporary, so it kind of is a little bit playful, but still modern. This one's really cute. It's a neat layout, the 2 to 3 fonts, colors that are easy on the eyes, and then good spacing of proper text and hierarchy. So these kind of elements are really important to keep in mind as you build your design. Just always interchange, like, you know, if it's hard to read, it's hard to read, you know, and you have to redo it. So that's always something that I say as well. Okay, so now that we've covered that, we can jump into the 4 features that I think you guys will really like and will help you a lot. So the professional templates that they offer, since you guys are all familiar with Adobe Spark, it doesn't vary much in that sense. You can create logos, social media content, social media ads, website banners, flyers, animations, and here's actually a better overview. So posters, logos, flyers, business cards. Now they launched Canva Print actually when I was still with them, so now they've perfected it to where there's t-shirts and other they just keep on bringing new things. So basically you create a design the same way and either get it printed onto a poster, custom t-shirt, postcard, and to me that's a game changer, you know, because the proofs come out really solid and like true to the design. So it's kind of becoming an end-to-end service, especially for, you know, nonprofits and stuff. If you can get your t-shirts done, your flyers done all in one, it's just ideal. So we got professional templates, and like I said, I think their design taste is really good. And then we have stock photos, which they also put a lot of emphasis in having kind of modern, inclusive kind of photos. As you can see, you know, there's just more diverse and really addressing like the needs of 2019 and 2020. I remember we would get a lot of customer feedback that would say like, hey, I'm trying to find more ethnic photos, there's nothing representative of us, I'm paying for the membership, what's going on? So over the last 2 years, they've really upped that. So if your companies are trying to kind of be more inclusive in that sense, I think it's awesome because you'll have plenty of selection. Elements and icons. This is one aspect that I think might be better than Adobe Spark as well, that it's their selection of illustrations. Let me see if I can open it here. Are just overall a little bit cuter, I'd say, and a little bit, you know, like this one I think is really cool and groovy. I would use it on my designs. The hierarchy that they have is just really good, so you don't have to waste a lot of time looking for elements and stuff. This gradient is awesome. You can just like put it behind here, and it's cute, you know. So I really like that aspect of it. And then the last feature that's important is the magic resize. So let's say I will open, let's see, oh, this is very messy. Maybe we can do it this one. So they have a feature called Magic Resize, which you can just turn this layout and design into anything. So you create the design once, and then you're like, all right, well, I really like it. I'm gonna make this a business card, an infographic for Pinterest, a photo collage, and animated social media. Let's go. and then it opens 4 different tabs, each one in there, and then you just kind of adjust the design to the size of the graphic. But this means they're ready to go, ready to be published on that size, so you won't have a weird fit when you publish them on social media. So that feature in itself, to me, is worth the membership, because you save so much time and you only have to design it once. So let's see, let's get this out of the way. The magic resize. Okay, so here's where I'm going to talk just a little bit about brand. I'm glad you guys already have your brand assets made, and I'm glad you guys do as well. So for me, you know, a brand is just your promise to the customer and how you communicate that in every touch point. So digital, web, print, etc. It's always important to keep your brand guide in mind. So for me, when I was building out the social media team, I would kind of brief them on our brand and really make sure they knew what we were trying to communicate, and always kept the colors in mind and stuff. Like, you'd be surprised how many people would just select like different fonts and different colors, to where it's like, what organization does this content belong to? You know, like, you don't know if the logo's not on there. So it's important to do that. And then if you have done a brand discovery kind of worksheet where they talk about what is the voice of your brand, is it the adventurer, the magician, the wizard? Like, it's maybe I'll send that to you in another link, and you guys can look at that afterwards. But it's super fun to do those exercises for your brand, so that way you know what kind of copy to either put on your design or as your caption on social media. So then here we have, every great design begins with an even greater story. Which, here's where the marketing and design kind of go hand in hand, to where it's like, what are we trying to accomplish this month? What are our KPIs as a business this month for social media per platform, right? So it's like, I see that our infographics are getting a lot of traction, but our regular kind of quote graphics aren't. Are we providing enough value? Are we posting it at the wrong time? So you have to isolate those variables, and usually it comes down to more appealing graphic design itself. So a lot of the problems in conversions, especially with Facebook ads, come down to the kind of copy and content that you're putting on. So again, it's important to make sure that you put the right copy. Think about your brand, think about your KPI for the month, and then make sure to either put that copy on the design itself, like we've done here, or in the caption. So I like to kind of pepper in, whenever I do a social media strategy for my clients, like, I like to come up with custom content that's evergreen, can be posted year-round, and branded content in addition to curated. So custom content, in this example, this is a project that I'm launching on the side. It's called Chalkboard ESL, and it's a platform that's going to connect ESL teachers who want to teach abroad with recruiters. Yeah, this
I know
is
somebody who wants that.
Oh, really?
Applying for them right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just
Yeah.
moved to Austin.
Oh, okay. I'm about to launch. I'm excited. This is like my passion project. So.
Yeah, it's good.
So yeah, this is a custom content piece for the brand, which is, we're gonna highlight stories of different ESL teachers that are already over there, obviously in part to kind of leverage their following that they already have. It's not an influencer campaign, because they're not influencers, but it's just a brand ambassadorship. So it's a simple piece of content, but it will be a constant throughout our social media posts. And then branded content is third-party content like quotes, phrases, stuff like that, that you repurpose and then put your brand on there. So it's always good to have those two types and get really creative with those two. And then you can pepper in curated content, which you guys know is anything third-party that you didn't necessarily create as a brand. So curated content adds value for your followers through brand positioning, relatability, and participation in the online community. So if you regram something from an Austin restaurant, and then, you find an Austin influencer who had a really pretty photo, you use that, that's either user-generated content, peer brands and accounts, and third-party media and press. So you're allowed to use that in your strategy in addition to these, and that's really solid, and that kind of helps you know what you're gonna design afterwards. So I'm hoping that I'm communicating the importance of like planning out your topics beforehand,
Yeah.
before you design. You know, so the message has to be planned out before your topics and stuff like that, and then you can go on to design it. Because otherwise, you're kind of like doing the post and pray. You do have to experiment with content and see what works and what doesn't, maybe a meme here and there, but you do have to be way more strategic when you're doing this kind, and that's what moves the needle for a lot of brands. So, do you guys have any questions so far?
I was just curious about the reusing someone else's
Mm-hmm.
branding. I don't understand how you would do that.
Imagery, you mean?
Yeah, so it does
Something you
depend.
like and you want to do something like that, or?
Okay, so there are a few legalities, like let's say,
I would think,
yeah, like this quote, traveling leaves you speechless and turns you into a storyteller. I think that was like Jack Kerouac or someone. Those are technically, what are they called? Creative Commons.
yeah,
They're in the public domain.
Yeah, they're in the public domain.
got it.
So we can use all of those things.
Okay.
It does get tedious to check each one, like to check the legality of every single thing. Usually if you're grabbing content from someone's Instagram, maybe on their bio they'll say like, please ask for permission before reposting. Otherwise, the gray area legality right now is everyone's happy to have their content shared. So as long as you credit them,
Yeah.
it's exposure for them, so
Okay.
they're happy about it.
Okay.
So I always just try and like, you know, if they're picky enough to put it in their bio, I'll just find another one to like repost. And then if it's a bigger account or a very popular one, you do want to just ask permission, like, hey, we loved your photo. Do you mind if we repost it? But Instagram's a very collaborative kind of space, so they want people to repost each other's stuff.
Got it.
And then, of course, if you want to kind of stay away from that, but still have that kind of curated look, you can always use one of Canva's like stock photos. They have over 2 million, and they have a really good style too. So it's more Instagram-y, kind of filtered, contrasty look. So basically, the photos are ready to go. They don't look as Shutterstock stock photo anymore. So that's the difference. Another resource is Unsplash, where you can find beautiful stock photos. These are also Creative Commons or royalty free, so you can just go ahead and use them, and I think they just do an amazing job with their photos. Oh, and Canva just purchased or acquired Pexels and Pexels Video. But that's a whole nother resource that you guys can use as far as like content creation and stuff like that. I'm using these clips for a video that I'm doing right now, and they're free, so that's amazing.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so you definitely have a lot to work with in terms of just cranking out content. So we've covered brand guide, and then content strategy, branded content. Oh, I guess my photo disappeared here. I don't know why. Where did the photos go?
I don't know.
Okay.
Might
Well,
have clicked on there and,
yeah.
that's all right, we don't need them.
You saw them once already.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so I thought it would be fun to either create like a brand from scratch, just the logo, and then maybe a few designs, just so you guys could see how you can work with different texts and stuff like that, and then leave it open for Q&A. So here I have an example of a logo. or here are the logo templates that load once you open the logo one. So
Wow.
what should we create? Do you guys want to create like a restaurant?
Do you want to do Nonprofit Tech Club Austin?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. Okay.
I try to do a new logo every year just to keep it fresh, you know?
Yeah.
And also, I just get so sick of looking at the same ones all the time. So I have two from last year and this one that are Adobe Spark, you know, pretty basic.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at next year.
Next year getting one?
Well, just making up one or whatever.
Well, maybe we can get one here. So obviously with the logo, you do want to spend a little more time on it, but this is for the sake of just, like I said, I wanted people who were intimidated by design to just be like, what? I can have a logo in 5 minutes? So,
Well, these are such great templates. I mean, that's really.
yeah. So this one, I like this little logo. I like the gradient. It looks higher, like high design. I don't like that font, so.
Yeah, we would say just, I think what I've done is just say Nonprofit Tech Club Austin, like.
Oh, spelled out?
Kind of like, well, actually, I did put N10 and N10, and here, I'll show you.
Net Squared.
Net
Net Squared was a
Because
lot like a tech club, but they had a different audience, and they kind of failed in Austin.
Oh.
Yeah, so they asked us to,
Okay, so N10,
Those are our two primary co-sponsors, and Net, and then Capital Squared, there you go. And
Okay.
then Nonprofit Tech Club Austin, nonprofit, all one word.
nonprofit,
No,
okay.
yeah, nonprofit, all run
hyphen?
together, no hyphen, yeah.
Okay, nonprofit tech,
And no
Club.
capital P, sorry.
I should know that. Nonprofit Tech Club Austin.
Yes, so nonprofit would be just nonprofit run together with the lowercase.
Oh, okay, there we go. We got it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
obviously this isn't, what we like about this template, or what I like, is the little gradient logo, right? So let's look at the font here and use something a little more, probably a little more techy.
Yeah,
So,
something totally different like this would be great.
yeah, well,
Because we're gonna-
if we like what we come up with,
We'll
I
just
like
use it. We'll
Poppins.
give you credit and say
Of
you
course.
made it.
oh, I would love that.
What is?
So let's see, Poppins Medium. That's kind of cool.
I never even heard of Poppins as a font.
Yeah, so usually they use just either, they purchase the extended licenses for free fonts, but all of the modern fonts that are coming out in like 2019 or 2020 are on Canva as well.
Great.
So, okay, so then a feature that I really like here, which you guys I'm sure have used, is just the kerning here.
Mhm.
But you'd be surprised how much just using this spacing feature really changes a design, you know,
Oh,
like
yeah,
from this
sure.
to this, it looks totally different, a little more tasteful.
That needs to be a little smaller, because.
This part,
Yeah, N10 and Net Squared, I kind of was gonna say that if that could end up being one line, because.
okay, so if you run into this, now Canva's grouping all of the elements together. All you have to do is put ungroup, and then you can select the element individually,
Oh, there you go.
drag it out, and then, yeah, I think we still need to make it a little bit smaller. So maybe that,
Because really, the two, Nonprofit Tech Club Austin Business is kind of, they're both inseparable there.
yeah.
Very tasteful already.
So, yeah, let's just, for purposes of this, let's go with this logo, right? So you can download, and then I love using all the different options. So you can do PNG for the website. Actually, let me create a new page, or actually copy this one. Let's say it was gonna already go on a website. So you wanna keep this version, and then delete this. This is like the submark that we would use in a brand guide, like right here, right?
Yeah.
So if you want a transparent background to where you can't see that you just did a screenshot or something like that, you go to PNG, transparent background.
What does PNG mean?
Portable,
Yeah, portable, something
graphic.
graphic. It's portable.
I have no idea. You see, I'm a marketer first, then a designer, but I don't know.
Portable network graphic.
uh-huh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and PNG basically means that they won't get distorted
yeah.
when you change the size, so it's nice. And if you look at your downloads, where are my downloads? Hold on a second. Okay, so I need to get the downloads into the upload section. So once you finish your logo, or if you want to watermark your photos, either way, you want to just always upload all your important brand assets into the doc here. That way you have just everything ready to go. So we want to get that one, and then we want to get this. Ooh, it's transparent, perfect, okay. So let's say we just finished our logo and now we want to get started with some content. Let's resize this into,
Yeah, you know, the Facebook cover would be good. See, I need a
Oh,
Facebook
Facebook cover,
cover,
okay.
and Instagram.
an Instagram post. Let's do animated
Oh,
social
yeah,
media.
there you go.
So I can,
Kind of one of everything.
okay, perfect. So the good thing about that is that when it does the resize, it shows you more templates in that option, so you can always start changing it up. So let's say we want to create,
We've had kind of, our logos have been sort of cool, techie looking. I kind of like this warmer look too.
I mean, that would be fun if you guys end up using it. I wouldn't mind helping you guys create your logo for real. So let's say it's just to show you the animation feature. I want to do an Instagram story. Oh, we can do an Instagram post. So we've already uploaded the logo here, so we can just
Oh, wow.
put it down here, and this would be to either watermark or images. Do it like this. And then, okay, how about we say like, just launched, new e-course on graphic design for non-designers. So you see how it's still grouped in one element, so you don't have to worry about justifying it, it's just, you just keep it in there. And 10, and,
Pretty much sets it up so you're organized.
yeah, and then, so if you like an element, like let's say this little circle, but it doesn't match your brand, you just, your brand kit should be loaded in here, once you load your brand kit separately, and then you can change it to a color that's a little more similar to your
Green.
brand. Yeah, what was our new, didn't it have like a purpliness to it?
Mhm.
Okay, so you do that, and then it has a nice feature
So it'll save it.
down here. You can, it's hard to see, but you press change all, and then it just saved you time.
Yay.
Yeah, so that's
Easy.
perfect. Yeah, it's just very easy. So then we grab our logo, put it down here. Let's change this font to, I love this one. I like it in bold. also change this to maybe the oranginess. And there we go. So that's a quick design that you can just create in seconds.
Yeah.
And then
Don't
if
you
you,
think what, one thing that I know I found this to be true is you have to lose your fear and just start playing with it
oh yeah,
and hack it. And then if you really like something but you wanna play with it and you're afraid, just download it or save it or something, you know, put it somewhere safe.
that's how I've learned everything that I've ever learned. Like just, you know, what's the worst that can happen? It's not your computer's gonna go up in flames, like, you know, and this is a cloud-based program, so you're not gonna mess up anything. I would always recommend just go in and play with all the features.
Yeah.
I selected 4 that I thought were really important, so the magic resize to save you time. The change all with the colors actually saves you a lot of
That's
time as
really
well.
great, yeah.
And then the download options. I'm trying to find the animation feature, which I'm not sure.
I love that logo, actually.
You like it?
I actually do, really. It's so different from what we've had, you know. We've used the kind of like a picture of a computer or people in a meeting or, you know what I'm saying? It's kind
Yeah.
of much warmer and.
Okay, so took a while, but if you look at this panel over here, most of their designs can now be animations.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of the same as Adobe Spark, but that's where you play with the animation itself. So they have like a few features.
Look how pretty.
Yeah, that one's cute. And then breathe, rise. So these are really good for Instagram stories,
Mhm.
Facebook ads. If you can do GIF or MP4 format, so you can download it in both, which is perfect. And that's it. So once you can play with the design a little bit more of the animation, but
It does look really professional though. That's
yeah, I mean, this was designed, I put this onto,
So this, it says one premium image, so it's got one image in there that
that's
is.
paid.
Is paid.
Because I pay for the membership already, that's $12.95, and it does come with a lot of, anything with a little crown on it is either free because I'm a member, but there's probably one icon in here that just costs $1, and sometimes it's worth it, you know, to just pay it, or I try and find which one it is and replace it, but I usually just pay. Yeah.
$1 not bad.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna have to like.
If it's worth it, it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly. So the animation feature is really cool, especially because algorithms do prioritize video on social media. So you uploading an MP4 format, like you're already kind of deemed as more quality content. So if you do something really cute on your feed or Instagram stories, you know, you have a hat in the ring, just like everyone else.
You're saying if there's an animation or a video, it goes to the top
Yeah.
of it?
Yeah, I mean, not to the top directly, but you're automatically kind of classified a little bit higher than a photo, and then the more engagement that gets, which usually video now is just people like it more, it's getting more engagement, you'll be bumped up to the top. So,
I thought Facebook changed their algorithm though, to not privilege video as much.
I mean, they are, because it's still, at the end of the day, like, Facebook is pay to play, and they're trying to push their new video, studio thing, yeah, exactly. So anything any feature, any activity that matches a feature that they have is gonna be prioritized. Like, we can never know what's exactly on the algorithm, but people who are producing good videos are like seeing a really good result. Like, I heard, you know that guy Jay Shetty? He's like an Indian guy with green eyes, and he does really motivational videos and stuff, which his content is all like stolen from other sources actually, and I just found that out. But Facebook, he got really famous because he was the only one using Creator Studio at the time, so Facebook was like, oh, here's a guy, let's push him, and then it just kind of like catapulted him. So
That is amazing.
that's what Gary Vee talks about all the time. in terms of jumping on a new feature early and just
Yes.
trying it out, posting content, seeing what happens.
You know what I like is the animation comes up on the right of your screen and you can see it all. Because with Adobe Spark, which I like and everything, but, you know, I'm loading up, I've got the photos, and I've got the format figured out and all that, but then I have to kind of stop and let it preview the whole thing through the whole, you know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be nice to just kind of see a little quick preview and then, you know, on the side like that, because, and of course you have to, probably it's true with Canva, but you have to have strong wireless, because if not, sometimes it'll freeze up a little bit, I found. You know, if I'm not like sitting right by the modem or something, and it's like, wow, and then it'll, you know, if it shuts down, it doesn't lose it, you just have to go back and
Make the last change.
Good work.
go
Good
in
tip.
and,
Yeah.
but it's, that is just so great to see that little screen, like, oh, how's it going? Oh, okay, I just want to fix that one panel.
Exactly. Yeah, you go
that's
back to.
really good, and you know, having the distance on it's really nice, like it's a little screen, so you kind of get the bigger.
You can see how it's gonna look almost as a thumbnail, and I like that. And you know, Canva's whole thing is they're changing their slogan from, or they already changed it from "Empower the World to Design" to design anything, publish anywhere. So Mel, the founder, is always thinking like 5 years ahead and stuff. So her goal for Canva now. They just bought, in addition to Pexels and Pexels Video, they bought Prezi, which was another Australian startup.
Oh, great.
And it enabled like much higher level presentations, because that's a huge market. But the next step is to create it on Canva and publish it directly to billboards, publish it directly to social,
Yes.
like social media that already exists. So publish it directly to social media. You don't have to download it anymore. And just stuff like that. So those are the kinds of features that I would say play with. Like once you create your design, just go in and see how things work. But the membership is worth it. So.
I was going to also say that it's something like, in NetSquared posted a statistic that video by, you know, this time next year is going to be like 80% or something of all content.
Who is?
Video, just video.
Oh,
anything,
video,
Just
yeah.
video online. That's it, that's where the traffic is, that's where the energy is. And so if we can get with the Canvas and Adobe Sparks, whatever, for professional looking videos, I mean, just need to go there. You know, more people need to explain it with that little bit of motion in a brief way,
Yeah.
but to get the point across in video.
In video.
basically.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, people have to just get comfortable with video, or even have somebody else create video for them, like hire someone to be the spokesperson. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me. All right, so we created an animation, an Instagram post. It's very simple.
Oh, look, there's the Facebook. Now, see, isn't that clean?
And there's a Facebook cover.
That's what we need.
So let's put a photo in the background. Let's search Photos Pro, put tech. So make sure to use your keywords really well. We don't want something too stocky. This one looks friendly.
Oh.
I go to Elements, and this is one of my best tips, I'd say, is just use an overlay for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, we can just use so you press back, change the color of this. Oh, we should actually use a nice little, and then I always lower the transparency.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So it brings that wording in the logo.
Exactly. It makes it so you're creating a separation between a layer between the photo and the logo, but it's just using an overlay, which is a square. Nothing fancy. Got it from Elements, and then reduce the transparency. So that's how it would look if we didn't. So then we can even just get a little fancier, make this white. Like play with these shapes. I always play with the shapes and see like what, if it looks cool, if it doesn't, you'll end up looking like the bad graphic design examples where you're just using everything because it's fun. And then always play with the positioning of the text and stuff, because that's, which you can either lock the content here, unlock it.
Oh, I see, kind of a modern, that's fun, I hadn't really even thought of that.
Yeah, so it's just ways to kind of, you know, you can leave it simple, and then they have really good text blocks too, so already pre-made kind of little text.
Cool.
Yeah, this one matches.
That's great.
Whenever you use an overlay, make sure it's just either white or black font. So, you know, you just kind of play with what you're trying to say and stuff like that. But all right, so now we have our Facebook cover, we have a logo, and we have our first post. So that's how you can get designs done quickly with Canva.
Is there a quick way to go, like, can we go back one, get rid of one, is like go backwards to the prior, like when you're on there and you just want to go back? No, I don't like that, go back.
Yeah, you
Go
can, over here's the undo button.
Oh, yeah, undo button, that's what I need.
I am gonna say, yeah, I use it a lot. I'm gonna say like sometimes a few actions get lost, not entirely. So like it's usually pretty good about keeping one and one and one. It's the same as like Control Z on Photoshop, I think. That's the erase one. But yeah, like here we go. You see, like I'm pressing undo. I don't know what that was, but it usually does a good job. Just keep in mind like what you're trying to. It's almost better to just grab the element because it's drag and drop and delete it on your own. It looks kind of funky too. Okay, so after that you decide how you want to download it. Again, there's PNG, you can do transparent background, PDF for print if this is a flyer or a business card, videos or animations. So you have the full suite of available formats, and then once you're done with your design, you can find it again. If you go back to your home page, all of your designs are loaded there, and then you can create a team with folders.
Oh, okay.
And then like this is another little website that I have, and I share it with my graphic designer, and then she just loads in the templates here. I get to verify them, and I'm like, no, it looks a little like rudimentary, let's, you know, and we get to collaborate together on this. So,
Wow.
do you guys have any questions? I would love to hear, you know, your thoughts on all of this. Was it a lot of information? How do you
These guys
feel?
do.
Huh?
I know these guys do. Don't y'all have a question?
No.
I think you just have to play, but you upload, you said that like they have all their colors and fonts, so there's a packet, they upload that to here. So they'd have a kind of a folder that would say.
Exactly.
here's your
They would have a
brand
folder.
folder,
So if you go
brand
over to,
elements, brand kit.
yeah, brand kit. So the first thing I would say is if you're gonna try Canva, buy the membership. Do get the $12.95 one because I think it's worth it. And then it's actually free for nonprofits. So you can submit an application and we'll likely get approved.
Wow.
And then you can use Canva, yeah.
Wow.
So, because they're trying to do like the 1% difference for everyone, so
Does it
yeah.
take a while? Is it as extensive as like Google Ad?
I'm not sure.
Probably not.
I
I
don't-
don't think it's as extensive.
Yeah, I don't think so, but yeah, you guys should get approved. So then maybe get the membership in the meantime while you get approved, and then start putting in your brand stuff. So your colors, your logo, your proper font. You do have to have the text file, but if you have the font name, you can usually just find it online.
It's an Adobe font.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then just input all that, and then that'll make the whole kind of production line for your designs much easier. Then you can create a folder. You can say like Facebook, ads, social, create different folders for your team, share it with the appropriate people, and just start creating even if it's mock-up content, just mock content, be like, here's a baseline where we start with, and then you'll get the feel of how you can incorporate that into your daily content production. So,
Yeah, I like the idea of sharing. I mean, I do so much just independently on my own, but I would love to have input, because I'll go, why is that way?
yeah, it is nice. It's nice when someone,
Better design. I can say this, with Adobe Spark, the simple things that I've been able to do, it's like I'm totally addicted. I have a blog, I've been online about 8 years, and I teach nonprofits and about fundraising communications, but I've like taken taken the photos, my old photos out, and used theirs, and done, every time I post something that's been done with a professional platform like this, Canva, it's like, it just, you can see it just takes off. People really just are hooked on that. And one thing I was gonna say from the perspective of somebody who does major gift fundraising, I tell people this because I literally heard them say this. It's like your nonprofit could be saving lives every day, and a donor will go, but their website doesn't look very good.
Oh, of
The
course.
pictures on their Facebook page don't look very, I mean, they're not so into you're trying to draw them into your mission and all you're accomplishing, and that you're worthy of big dollars, right? And so I tell people, get on here, get Canva, start looking super
Yeah.
professional. Even the small shop can do that, and then they aren't put off. Because I was trying to help, I was volunteering for a group, and I was trying to get somebody interested, and I was just raving about this nonprofit, and they just were like, that was a stupid website. Because it was not the content, it was how it looked. And so you have to
Honestly,
look
yeah.
good if you want to kind of ramp up. I would say, I mean, I hate to be absolute, because somebody will figure it out that you're doing earth-shattering things, but generally speaking, you better look good. Because then, if they gave you the grant or whatever it was, and invested in your project, and then they look goofy for,
Oh,
a
of
year,
course.
they don't like it.
Well, a modern
Because
design.
what they're doing when they donate is they're investing in you, and that's part of them too. So if you can at least take that leap and try and look more sophisticated, they're gonna be much happier. Because they're like, look, I funded that project, that looks really great. And it's like, who cares, we just need to feed people that are out the homeless or whatever. But it just doesn't work that way in 2019
It doesn't.
anymore. Not
It's
anymore.
sad because I'm from South Texas, and there's a lot of nonprofits there that haven't prioritized design or anything like that. And
Yes.
it's hard to convey that as a person who comes in, a marketer, a designer. They're just like, that's the least of our priorities, But then I try to explain that for some reason, a proper modern design equals competency now.
Yes, it
Or
does.
competence. So even though you can have somebody who's been in the industry for, in the game for like 40 years or longer, it's just people don't deem you as competent. They think like, oh, they're gonna be difficult, they're gonna be like, they're old fashioned, stuff like that, when
Yeah,
it's just a
but
website,
It's
but.
really, can't be underestimated. Now tell me where you're from in South Texas.
Brownsville, so the
Oh, yeah.
very tip, yeah, right by South Padre.
Oh, yeah, there's a good bunch of arts groups and stuff.
Yeah.
I know the director of UT Rio Grande Valley in the art department.
Mhm.
I went to graduate school with, and
Mm.
the North American Butterfly Center in Mission, kind of
Oh,
on the little
nice.
string down
Yeah.
The
Are they
Uturia
walls
family,
going to
I worked with Frank Uturia and
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
Mary.
Oh, nice.
Years past, so I know that area. Birds, oh my gosh.
Oh,
wildlife
the bird
habitat.
watching is so nice. I didn't appreciate it when I was younger, but now like I'll sit outside and just see like all these. The other day there was a toucan in my mom's
Oh,
backyard, and I was like,
Oh my
where's
gosh.
there? Why is
That's a
there a
major
toucan?
fly.
Yeah, that to me was just like, am I literally seeing a toucan in the tree
Oh.
right now?
It's,
So-
it is some of the best birding in the world.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I'm glad to know that. So, yes, you do know about nonprofits that do life-saving work, and they just look terrible online. And they
And I understand, because it's expensive to allocate like money to that, you know, and I think there are some good people revamping websites and stuff for a low price. So hopefully that gets out there, but that's why with Canva, you know, you have the 1%, like they're trying to really make it easy for nonprofits to get their message out there.
But it's only certain nonprofits.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they kind of only align with that UN list of
Oh,
certain
important
ones.
causes like water and all that,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
well,
like,
I'm
we're
sorry.
not,
Not the arts.
nope, no culture.
That's
Well,
not fair.
That's still $12 a month, it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, if your overhead for design, for graphic design is that, I'd say you're pretty good. But I do want you guys to feel, do you feel like you feel more prepared, more inspired to create content? I know there was a lot of information, but how do you feel right now? Did it move the
I
needle
think
for
I was
you?
more familiar with what Canva does or doesn't do.
Mhm.
Okay.
So,
Would you say that you'd be ready to use that in your,
It'd still be between that and Adobe Spark.
yeah, it seemed that the level of complexity seemed kind of similar, you'd say, or?
I wasn't using Spark because I don't know Spark. I haven't
Yeah.
had that yet.
Yeah,
I was just using,
Photoshop.
Photoshop, Illustrator.
yeah.
Yeah, because we have an
Yeah,
Adobe
design.
package, so we get a lot of other things like Photoshop and Lightbox and stuff like that that
Mhm.
we may continue to use.
I like the photos in the stock photo pile,
Yeah,
which I pay a little bit each month to, for Adobe Spark to kind of have a little basic account, but oh my God, their photos are so much better than my photos. It's like, there's no comparison.
yeah, you can tell like when they're very stocky. I mean, that's the whole thing. I've never played with Adobe's. I do have, I don't know, I have their features here. But to me, because I like to be lean and create content quickly, it's like I have all the features I need here. It's
Yeah.
all in one. And that's how they actually got funded from VCs, because she extrapolated like how separate everything was. Photos over here, vectors over here, this over here, and then wrapping it all into one, but with style and taste, like, just kind of change the game
I
a
like
little
the
bit.
way the screen is, like I say, that video, like where it would just play, like you can kind of make it and then see what it's gonna look like. and
Yeah.
See what you need to fix. And
Yeah, the
And
UI is
this
super
whole
nice.
business menu on the left is really good. And to quickly be able to get t-shirt, business card, Facebook profile page, posts for Instagram. That, I love being able to go click, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's like end to end, as they say, like A to Z. So,
I love that. It's really, that's really helpful.
yeah. Well,
So,
this was the Canva presentation. I hope that you guys found it useful and that you can create
Yes,
really
thank
good,
you.
awesome content and grow your businesses.
give it a
Yes.
try. That's the
Yeah.
message.
Yeah, give it a whirl.
I would
Hack
just
it.
get your slides, there's a couple of lists on there that I would,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
I'll-
gonna
Yeah.
send, on our N10 RSVP profile page, she's gonna send me a PDF
Of the slides, yeah,
And
you
then
guys
I'll
can
put
grab
that
them.
on SlideShare and so you can
Right.
download it.
and you don't have to
right
be
from
an
that
N10
page.
member to get to our page on the
Mhm.
N10 website.
And I'll put them also on the Facebook group page.
Yeah.
And then, we'll also have the recording of this, linked up to the N10 website, so.
Perfect.
Yay.
So yay!
Thank
And then next year, we'll do this again, an
Yeah.
update. Maybe we'll just focus, I have to say, if we're getting the message that video, please do more video. Maybe we should focus on doing a video
Yeah, I would love,
Video.
I would love, some feedback, you know, like on how all of the information, if we need to like parse it a little more, or what we should do for the next time.
This is all good. I would just focus on like doing maybe a video or something like that.
More, yeah.
But, you know, people will, still come at all levels.
Yeah.
Still, you know, like I just hacked into Adobe Sport, that's it. So I've been watching Canva going, well, I should try that.
I hope you do. I'm
So
the biggest fan girl.
I do have an account, I just have no designs. I just poked around behind you.
Yeah.
This
To
is
see
way
what's
fun,
there.
though. It's actually fun.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
It is fun. Like I love, when I have time and I want to design for myself, like
Yeah.
this is like a little creative outlet that I have. I'm just like,
Yes.
what could I make?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's pretty too. Like, you know, a lot of people, let's say you have a birthday coming up, you make your own birthday invitation, you put it on Facebook.
Yeah.
People use it for their own family Christmas cards. Like I did that. I did that with my family. Like my mom just got a dog, so we like took a picture of like all of us and then put the text on there. They have really cute Christmas cards. Like you can use it for personal use and business, which is really nice.
All right.
Yeah, so I recommend it, and feel free to message me if you guys have any questions. You too, if you guys have any questions, you know, you get stuck with it, let me know. I'm the biggest Canva fan in the world, so I can.
You're a good ambassador.
I am a good ambassador. It's like I need my affiliate link. No, but honestly, like if any of you guys get stuck, I love doing this. So yeah, but thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. This was a lot of information.
We'll send the little link out with all this stuff on there. And I did already put the link to the recording on Facebook. We'll get all of that.
I'll have to watch that. No, I'm never gonna watch it actually. I just.
Poised and gracious and everything, so.
So, we have a ton of food for you guys. I was expecting a bunch more people. Does anybody want to take some food?
A lot of people signed
We
up
can
on
leave it,
that.
you know what, we can leave, we can leave it with our Capital Factory hosts in the kitchen, because they will look at it. Thank you.
Bye, nice to meet y'all. Please take some food. There will be a lot of left. This is delicious, by the way. I'm the only one who had some, and it is awesome. Yes, something crunchy is in there. I know, isn't it good? I didn't get to finish it, but I'm gonna finish it now.
Yeah, this is delicious.
This thing is called the Pacific something. Pacific
From Domino's, right?
from Domino's, like the California. Oh, I'm sorry.
I remember that, when I could eat pizza, not in my diet, I did that California. I love
It's
that.
really good. How much chicken? It's fried. They're breaded, brother. I don't know what they do with them.
No, I've been very good all day. I am not.
I wanted to splurge.
What?
We're close to Terrazas Library, and there's a group of like when I first got into it, I was, what was the job and all that stuff. Yeah, thank you. And I tried to get on there and follow some people I knew, and it was like, I got this rush of, it was like too much. It kept coming, it felt like it was coming at me. But now I love that.